I'm going to start with a wisdom. A wisdom, they said, don't look behind you. And that means don't look to the past, because you're going to always remember something is going to bother you. And don't look for the future in front of you, because you're always going to be worried what's going to happen. But instead, look above you, because there is Allah there. He wants to make you happy, and you're going to find your happiness when you find Allah in your life, inshallah. We're going to just say a story about a family, a husband and a wife. They traveled in the ocean, in the ship, and after how many few days, it was very good trip so far, then it was like a storm. So the wind started blowing so hard, and the ocean was so scary, and the water started coming to the ship, and people start worrying, and people start screaming, and they don't know what to do. And the wife, she looked for her husband, she couldn't find him, and she starts screaming, and the captain already said the news, we are in a danger. So the wife, she starts screaming and looking for her husband. She went to the room, she found him sitting quietly. It's like nothing happened. She was so mad, she screamed in his face. And she said, what's wrong with you? Don't you know what's going on? Why don't you get up and do something? And he looked at her, so he got mad. And then he took from his pocket like a knife, and he put it in her chest like that. And he looked at her, and he said, are you not scared? She said, no, I'm not scared. He said, how come? She said, because I know this knife is in the hand of somebody I love and I trust. Then he smiled and he said, that's exactly how I feel. Our lives in the hands of the one who we trust and we love. Allah, who's holding, it's in his hands and in his power, all the ocean and the ship and the wave. So I trust Allah and I love him, and that's why I'm sitting quietly. This is going to teach us a lesson. We always, whenever something happens, sometimes things happen in your life, storm, like a storm, something make you sad, or make you mad, or make you miserable, but you still always look above to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's when we're going to say why you shouldn't be sad. Sad is nothing bad. It's not something bad. It's a feeling. Everybody feels sad and sometimes, but the way we deal with sadness, how this is the problem. So we will say, don't feel sad, and you have the dua when you raise your hands up, and Allah all hearing, all listening to you, and tell you, oh my servants, just ask me, and I'll be there for you. Shouldn't feel sad when Allah created all this universe for you, just to make you happy, to make you comfortable. Breeze and oceans and something unbelievable in this world just because of you. Stars and moon and the sun just because of you. So you shouldn't feel sad. You shouldn't feel sad, Allah, like, subhanallah, when you look at the other people, they can't find water to drink. They cannot find food to put in their table. And you feel you are special. So you shouldn't feel sad. You shouldn't feel sad when Allah gave you this book of the Quran. It's a way of life. When you read it, you feel so comfortable. أَلَا بِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ تَطْمَئِنَّ الْقُلُوبِ. When you remember Allah, you will be calm. You will be, subhanallah, you have that tranquility. Nobody can understand, just you. And you have the salah, the connection. This is your connection with Allah. So when you stand there to do the salah, it's not a burden, it's something to make you happy. Because that time you have that connection with Allah. You have the sadaqah. When you help somebody, you feel better. When you give to somebody, you feel better. This is something you shouldn't be sad. And you always remember the most lovable person, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When you look at his life, he suffered in his life, and he's the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. His people hurt him. His people sent their kids to throw rocks at him until his feet were bleeding, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And in that time, he just sat under the tree sad. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent him the angel of the mountain. He said, Ya Muhammad, if you want me to destroy these people with the 2 mountains, that's I will do. And Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, no. He said, no. Maybe Allah gonna bring from these people somebody gonna say La ilaha illallah. Just leave them. Subhanallah. His Sahaba, 70 of them died in Ghazwat Uhud. And he still take it and with patience. His wife, his kids died in his life. And he was patient. And even when his son died, he said, Wallahi, inna al-ayna la tahzan. Inna al-ayna la tadma'i. My tears comes down. And my heart is sad. Sad, so sad, it's okay. But I am not going to say nothing except what pleased Allah. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. They kicked him out of Mecca, out of his country, the place he was born and his people. And he looked back, he said, Wallahi, you are the most place I love. But my people kicked me out. And if they didn't kick me out, I will never leave you. But he left. They, subhanallah, his wife, they have like talk about her like she commit adultery. And she is the wife of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He dealt with it, alayhi salatu wassalam. Other prophets, like Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam, when he was like going in front of him, it was the ocean. Behind him was Pharaoh and his soldiers and his army. And subhanallah, the people were with him, they were scared. He said, don't be scared. Allah is with us. In that time, Allah opened the ocean for him. And he left. Until he was safe. And then Pharaoh and his army was drowning in that ocean. Sayyidina Yunus alayhi salam, when he was swallowed by the whale, he remembered Allah. And he said, that's what give us a lesson. Whatever happened to you, always turn back to Allah. Run to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Sayyidina Yunus alayhi salam, he said, لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إني كنت من الظالمين. Then الملائكة said, Ya Allah. It's this voice, it's very familiar. We always hear this voice. It's not somebody who's never remember Allah. This person, it's a very familiar voice. And then when the second time he make the dua, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give the order to the whale to throw him out. Subhanallah. So you always gonna find, subhanallah, a way to deal with your sadness, the way when you put Allah first in your life. Not after you return to everybody, first in your life. So your happiness is in your iman, in your belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Your happiness, when you please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah can please you. Your happiness when you choose your friends. You have good friends. They always, if you forget, they remind you. If you did something wrong, they will advise you. If you did something wrong, they will cover up for you. And they will, until you come back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So my advice to you, sadness, the way to deal with it, just put your Allah in your life. And every way you turn, you're going to find Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And especially when you stand up and pray, you have to feel that salah. It's not just salah I do, just like exercise. You have to feel it. I'm talking to Allah. When you are praying, you are talking to Allah. When you're reading the Quran, Allah is talking to you. So feel that you are talking to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You don't need appointment. You don't need anything just to make wudu and stand up and you are there in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us with every difficulty in our lives and to guide us to the right way